Hi everyone, welcome back to Plum Mashable. So we're going to have some fun making a bit of a smash memory book using the Planner's Anonymous Vineyard kit. So let's go ahead and jump to it. Alright, so we're going to make a little, kind of like a brag book. That's kind of what I'm going to go with here. It could be like a memory a day kind of thing, but I'm setting it up for 30 days. That's kind of my plan here. So I'm going to start off with my paper trimmer and a piece of my favourite kind of drawing paper. So this is Canson drawing paper. I've used it a bazillion times, but it is my absolute favourite for crafting with. And what we're going to do first is cut this one to size. So we need to make it, and I've just lost my little thing with my how tall everything needed to be. So I want to make it fit into the wallet that comes in this kit, because I thought it would be, if you sort of stuck that on the strings of your TN, it would be a really cool thing to be able to pull out, and obviously then this is going to protect it. So we need to make it fit in here. So it's going to be 15.5 centimeters high. So we'll just cut that with the trimmer first. 15.5, and I'm just using the trimmer to measure that up. And then it's going to be 11 centimeters wide, so it'll fit in there really comfortably. So I'm going to make it 22 because we're going to fold it in half. It'll actually end up being a little bit smaller than that because we're going to cut it to make it one sort of line down the side, and that'll make sense in a sec when I put it together. So I'm kind of putting this together like a TN booklet. That's sort of where I'm going with this. It's obviously just a different size. And then to make this a little bit cooler, because a little white paper is just going to be really boring. If you remember back to when I did my book lover, I made a little notepad for the back of my TN. I used Tombos to kind of do like a water smushing effect. What I thought I'd do this time to kind of distress the page a little bit is grab some of my Distress Oxide. This is in tea dye ink, which is a really nice brown kind of color. And I'm just going to ink all over the front and the back. Now, it's not going to be particularly good. I'm deliberately leaving holes. It's just a bit of a layer of color just to kind of make it look not like a white piece of paper. So if you do bits like this where the color's a little deeper, that's okay. It's not supposed to be perfect at all. It's supposed to look distressed. In fact, we're going to add little things later that's going to make it even more so. I'm just grabbing a bit of paper just to hold this down so I don't get ink all over my fingers. You could do the water technique with the Distress Oxide as well. You could also just use that water technique that we did in that video. It's any way that you feel like you want to add the colour onto the page. And then once I'm happy with that side, I'm going to flip it over and do the other side. So I'm completely happy with both sides now, and the good thing was I kind of left it, if it picked up any ink on the back, it wasn't a bad thing. It kind of adds a little bit to the effect. So I'm just going to tidy up my mat. And what I've been a bit clever, and I've gone ahead and done that for another 7 pages. I think 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe 6 pages. 6 pages. So with the 7, so that's 4 times 7. Sure, I've done 8. I must have missed one. So I'm just going to do one more really quickly because I need there to be 4 times 7 is 28. I obviously need there to be more than that. So 29, 30, 31, 32. We're going to end up with 32 days, but that's okay. So I'm just going to do that again really quickly with another piece of paper. Okay, so now I've got my sheets all ready. What we're going to do is fold them all in half. So that's going to then start turning into our little booklet. Not being too worried about exactly if these are half, as long as they're pretty close, because we are going to do a bit of trimming afterwards. But at least this way, if we have them folded, we can start to get the shape of our book sorted out. Can do this with a scoreboard or a scoring tool if you like. I'm not that particularly worried about it. This book in particular, I kind of want to have a bit of a not quite perfect kind of charm to it. So I'm kind of going with that as we go along. So the other thing that I'm going to add to this book is I'm going to put in some of the papers and the vellum and the acetate from the kit so that we've got some extra sort of texture to all of this, and then as we decide to, or as we go along decorating this, we can then add in other bits and pieces. So I'm going to play with some stamps and some stickers, maybe some washi tape. I'll probably do a lot of the decorating sort of in fast motion, so you guys don't have to sit there the whole time and watch me do it. But at least I can tell you what I'm doing, and then you can kind of watch along in fast speed. So there we've got our little book all ready to go, or the pages of the book ready to go. So I'm just going to put this together. So you see some of them have got more colour to it than others, and that's absolutely fine. That's kind of what I wanted. I do have a bit of an imperfection cut on some of these, so I'm just going to try and make them. No, you know what? Don't even care. If it's got a little bit of a thing to it, that's all right. So I've got the little book. Okay, so now we need to work on what we're going to have as the cover, and then getting the vellum and the acetate in here. So I'm going to use the really, really pretty. So I'm going to get the vellum and the acetate, so I know I want to use those. But I'm going to use this one here with the vines. And if I cut this in the right spot, I can actually use this quote on the inside cover because it's just about the right size for it. Yeah, perfect. Excellent. So, you need to cut this obviously to the same height. So that's going to be that 15.5 centimeters, but I'm going to cut it to, do I cut it to 16 or do I leave it at 15.5? I'm going to cut it to just a little bit over 15.5, or it's going to be 15.7 or something, because I don't want a big lip on it, but just a little bit wouldn't hurt. So I'm just going to cut it a little bit bigger. I'm going to make sure to cut it not on the quote, because that would be really silly of me. Go. Then, I'm not going to get rid of that because I still need that. I'm going to fold it. I'm actually going to use my scoring tool, because I'm going to fold it so that I get that part of it. We'll cut off the excess. The scoreboard will be easier here, so I'm going to use that. So I'm just going to work out. I'm doing this all by sight. It's just a little bit easier for me. So I'm going to trim that as long as I don't hit the quote. So I'm going to go to there. I'm going to do that one there. Actually, hold on. Problem is that this board is in inches and I work in centimetres, so there's always going to be a slight problem here, but we will work it out. I'm going to go down that one there. Go. Oh, that's right on the line, but that's okay. And fold this over, and then we'll cut off the excess on the side. Now, I'm not worrying too much that that's got a little bit of excess there, because I can fix that up later when I trim the rest of it off. Alright, so there we've got our book and our cover. We just need to work out where we want the vellum and the acetate to go. So I'm going to cut the vellum and the acetate in the exact same way. So it's going to be that same size, and I'm just going to randomly shove it in. And then we can sort of, I'm going to add texture by tearing some of these pages and doing some other weird kind of bits and pieces. So I'm going to cut both of these to that 15.5 by 22, and we can add these into the book, and then we can actually get to assembling the book. For the acetate, I always have a little bit of trouble folding acetate, so I find it's always better to use a scoreboard for this one. So I'm just grabbing my ruler just to measure out where 11 centimeters is. Again, I'm not particularly worried if it isn't 100% right, and that's because, like I said, I'm kind of going for that imperfection kind of look. Obviously put the acetate on the outside if you wanted to and have it as like a plastic cover. Kind of like the idea of having it on the inside and having it as something else, but either or is fine. Could do both if you really wanted to. If you get the extra paper pack, then you get 2 pieces, so you can do that. But that looks really good on the outside if you wanted to do it that way, or it will obviously look good on the inside. So I'm going to put the acetate sort of maybe 2 or 3 in, and then we're going to put the vellum sort of in this bit here. And these are just purely decorative pages. They're not going to be anything other than that. All right, so we've got our little book. Actually, I might, oh yeah, no, we'll need to cut it. So I'm going to attach, this is the hard part for me. I never know if it's best to staple it together and cut it before I put the cover on it, or if I want to do it the other way. What I'm going to do, which is tempting fate just a little bit, but it's what I want to do. So rather than stapling it now, I'm pushing those, and I'm using gravity to help me a little bit there. Pushing it all together so it's the book. Grabbing one of my little bulldog clips. Alligator clips. I'm going to have to find another one. I've got one somewhere. I knew he was here somewhere. I'm going to use those to hold the book together while I cut down this edge to make it straight. The top's fine. I don't mind the fact that there's 1 or 2 or that titsy weetsy little bit there, but I do want to make this edge straight. So for that, I've got to grab a mat because I need it to sit still. I'm grabbing my ruler and I'm grabbing my craft knife. And all I'm going to do is line it up with the edge of the smallest piece of paper. If you're really worried about being straight, you can obviously line this up with your mat. I think that'll be go. Not worried again of it being perfectly perfect, but and then just work your way through the stack of paper. So probably end up cutting a couple too many times. It's okay until you've got it all done, and then you've got your nice flat straight. It's not quite, but it's close enough. Alright, so now we can put the cover on. So this is how I've taken to doing my TN ones in the exact same way as this, because I used to stitch them and that was an issue. And then I tried to staple using a normal stapler and that was an issue. So I have finally invested in one of these. It's a long arm stapler. Makes life 100 times easier when I'm doing things like this or making my TN notebooks. So I'm very happy that I have one now. So all I'm going to do, I'm going to use those clips again. One of them lost its little arm while I was doing that, but that's okay, I can fix it. I will fix it, I'll just fix it later. And grab another one for now. So I have 50 of them, so might as well. So we'll open the book. Sorry, we won't open the book. We'll put the book back together. And again, do that gravity thing, push it down. And then just make sure it's centered where I want it. We'll use the bulldog clips to hold this together because I'm going to punch or staple from the outside. So, this is always very scary. I don't like stapling from the outside. I prefer to staple from the inside, but put that in there. Line it up with the spine, staple through. I don't like to look until afterwards in case I have messed it up, which I have. One of these days I'm going to get this right. So I've got my little book all done. It isn't perfect. There are some issues with it. It's not quite right, but you know what? Let's embrace the imperfections again. This is the only part that's bothering me to the point that I just want to give it a little bit of a wiggle. So what I'm going to do is I'm undoing the staples. So I'm just loosening it because it's just a little bit too tight. That's my opinion. I think it's too tight. So I'm just opening the staples up and then I'm going to fold them back down again. But I've just given it a little bit more breathing room, I think. There we go. So there we go, we've got the book with the little thing on the front, and then as you flick through, you've obviously got other bits and pieces. And then you can decorate this any way you like. So what my plan was that every page becomes like a day. So this is like your memory journal, memory keeping kind of thing. And you can just decorate it any way you like. And because there's an extra day, because there should be 32 in here, not 31, you can then have this one here as a title page. So I'm just going to leave that one for now. And then all I'm going to do is just go through here and just decorate it just a little bit. So I have tons of stickers and tons of stamps, obviously stamps, still left over from the kit. And I can colour these, or you can colour these, or you can just leave them as they are. It really comes down to whatever you want to do. I'm not going to do all of these, but I'm just going to show you a couple that I had some ideas that would look really cool. So one of the ideas I had was to get a stamp. This is a brick stamp. So you guys have seen me use bricks before. There are single brick kind of stamps in the, it was the second kit, whatever that was. I think it was Treat Yourself. In that kit from Planners Anonymous, if you wanted to use that instead of this. But I think this will be a really good one. It's a bit of a distressed kind of look, which is what we're going for here. And you can obviously do it across the 2 pages. You could do it the whole way along. I'm just going to chuck it down and see what it looks like, and then we can kind of work from there. So I've got Vintage Photo, and I'm just stamping this up. So this is just a Kaiser Craft stamp. You would have seen that before. I'll link it down below. I got it on sale. It was only $2, but it's normally only $3.99, so really there's not that much of a price difference there, but that's a decent price. So I'm going to stamp it on. Stamp it on this side. Doesn't want to stay down. I'm just going to grab a little bit of washi just to hold this down for me. Grab that stamp in. Uh-oh. Don't care. There we go. That's kind of what I was going for anyway. And I'm going to put another one on this side. Actually, I might put it on the top. But I'm just not going to put quite as much on the top one. So it's not going to be quite as wide. So this is a background stamp, so it's designed to be a little bit more. Whoops, did it again. And the only thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to grab a bit of white paper. This is just scrap white paper, just to protect the cover. I don't want that to have too much, or don't want it to have any ink on it. So there wasn't as much ink on this one. It'll end up looking a little different. But it's still kind of got that distressed kind of look, which is what I'm aiming for. And then you can obviously keep decorating if you want to. So you could put, I'm just going to create here and see what I get. So you could grab this little cheese board, and then you could just, with some Memento ink, just kind of stack that up. Okay, it doesn't look quite so good there. Okay, and that's all right. You can always just leave that there and then put another one over here instead. It's going to be hard because I'm right in that corner, but I'm going to leave that as it is. These ones here, these solid kind of leaf ones, these will look really cute on here as well. I'm just going to stamp a couple kind of on here. Over here. And like I said, we're going for that kind of weird, broken kind of look. So I'm not panicking. That I'm panicking about. I don't like that. I'm not panicking too much about if the stamps get dirty or anything like that. So all I'm doing here, I tore a little bit of paper off there. So I'm just using my blending brush, just what was already on it, just to kind of fix that up. So then as we sort of move through here, you can obviously do more and more different kinds of effects. So I'm grabbing, that's the leaf one that we used in my weekly decoration last week. I'm just grabbing another stamp block. And you could do the exact same thing that we did. You can just do it tombow all the way down and sort of do the sides, or you can just have the stamp just like this and have it all hanging from the top. Actually, that looks really awesome, so I'm just going to do that. I'm just going to have one or two be a little bit not so hanging. Now, if you used a Misty, which I'm going to do a review on my Misty very, very soon, I just haven't got to it yet, you could stamp that so that it was exactly in the right spot. See, that's kind of mirrored it now, but that's okay. And then my other thought was you can grab some number stamps. So I've got these ones. I think these are Kaiser Craft, but I'm not sure. I can't actually remember. And then you could just put them, or just stamp them in for each day. So you could kind of keep track of, like, if you were doing this on the 1st or on the 2nd or whatever it was. And you can obviously do this in different colors. So you've got the one there, and you could put the 2 in the brown if you wanted to. You could also put stamping days of the week. I'm pretty sure there is I think it was Serenity, that had days of the week if you wanted to use Planners Anonymous stuff instead of using anything from Kaiser Craft. But that sort of was my idea. So I'm going to sort of go ahead and decorate all these pages. It's going to take me a little while, and I'm going to use bits and pieces and scraps, and you'll see sometimes you obviously got the gorgeous acetate will come in there, which will just add a little bit to each page. But I'm just going to go ahead and have a bit of a play, see what I can create, and I will obviously show you as we're going along. But yeah, we'll see what we end up with. so I've got to 19. I'm going to leave it there because I want to still be able to play with this later. I've got ink all over my hand. Do you know what's been the funnest part of that? And I actually just want to do one more while I'm talking to you. The funnest part of all of that is actually getting to just grab everything from the kit and just use it. There's so many times that I'm a little scared that I'm going to run out, or that something's going to happen and that it's going to be, I'm going to miss something. I love the fact that I just went for it then. Just, you know, whatever happened, happened, and I tore stuff. I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to tear another one. I'm going to have this as like a Dutch door kind of thing. So these 2 days would be a little bit less. But this is where it's fun. Like you can, if you were to leave this and then have it later on, or be playing with it later on, you could, if you only had something little to write on this day, you could really easily just add in or take away some space just by tearing some up and then adding some in later. It also allows you to play with the bits that are in the kit. If you create something awesome, that's great. If you don't, well, the idea is it's supposed to be a little bit not quite right, so it kind of ends up being okay. So I'm just going to stamp this one down, and then I'm going to finish it up. She's just cool. But I just really like the idea of having a space where you can just dump stuff. And you could use this any way you like. You could obviously use it to keep memories in if you wanted to. If you wanted to do some sprocket bits in there, you could. If you wanted to just write like a memory a day. And the thing that I liked, and the thing I deliberately did it, I'm just trying to find all the lids so that I can not worry about getting ink on anything while because I have kind of expanded here, haven't I? I've seriously lost the lids. My lids were all in my big pile of creative mess. But this little booklet then fits perfectly into here, which obviously as it gets chunkier and chunkier, it'll be a little bit tighter, but that fits still really, really well if you sort of slide it in. It's got its own little protective pocket, and if you wanted to chuck it in the back of your TN, if that's the kind of planner that you've been using a TN, you can really easily just slip this in the back, grab a string, so I've got a spare one here, grab a string, chuck it in. It's going to hold in that with everything else, but it's really easy to then pull that out on the go. It's protected obviously because it's got the little pocket in it, but it kind of then gives you something to use that pocket for if you don't want to use it for the stickers. But I just thought it was a cool way to use up more of the kit, to kind of use up your excess, but also a way to be a little bit creative. So please let me know what you think down below. It's nothing special in that it's just the papers all punched together and added some colours. But it could be a really special way to keep some memories, and obviously you can do this with other kits as well. It's not limited to Vineyard, and it gets your stamps out, and it gets your quotes out and your stickers out, and you can use up some of those kit scraps. So give this one a thumbs up if you did enjoy it. Make sure you're subscribed to my channel for all my other videos, including my other Planners Anonymous videos. I hope you have an absolutely fantastic rest of your day, whatever you're doing, and I will see you again in my next video. Sending lots of huggles. Bye!